What's up, folks? Welcome back to Scarlet and Great. Thank you for joining us on this channel. We have Coach Zach Smith again for another episode of Coaching the Bullet. Took a little hiatus last week for the bye week. We'll blame it on the bye week. That's what we'll say. And we are back now. Real quick, before we get going, I want to say come hang out with myself, Zach, Braxton Miller. A lot of other people probably show up. If you are a listener of the show, I don't know about you, Zach. I know it's really cool when at one of your events, whenever I'm in Columbus, and I see someone I haven't seen before, and at your tailgates, so somebody will like run by and like brush me. You're a kind of a, Columbus football celebrity, but not me. Somebody will like brush by me and be like, Johnny Bullet. And I'm like, yeah, that's me.
That's me.
Over from the varsity club will be like, hey, I like your show. I'm like, okay. It is cool to run into listeners, really cool. Isn't it, Zach?
It's really no, there's nothing cooler. There's nothing cooler, especially when it's unexpected. Like I think when I first started my podcast, I went to the Florida-Miami game in Orlando, and my girlfriend and I walked to the stadium to go check it out. And some random dude was like, "Hey, Menace!" I was like, "Whoa, what? I'm in Florida. Like, what is going on right now?"
Yeah, well, it's really cool. So please come by the CrossFit Varsity Club, charging on lane, located at the point. See Zach, myself, Braxton, having a nice tailgate there. It's going to be a lot of fun before an awesome Penn State game. So I'll make sure you get the link down below so we can get you guys how to get tickets. You always buy a ticket at the door. Have a lot of fun with us. And real quick, I want to ask before we get into this show and talk about this massive matchup with Penn State and how the Buckeyes are preparing for the game we've been looking to all season. Ever since the Oregon loss, we've been saying, can we turn around by October 30th? We've also had a goal for the channel for the huge Buckeye nuts. Please subscribe to this channel. Help us get 3,500 subs by October 30th. We're just a little over 100 out. I think we can do it, judging by past performances. So if you love the Buckeyes, if you love humor, analytics, all kinds of good Buckeye football content, please subscribe to this channel. Zach, I want to talk about this game coming up. And before Penn State did what they did, right? Well, first I want to back up. Penn State did what they did. Penn State ruins everything. James Franklin, I tweeted out two things. Both, I think, one's funnier than the other, but the first, USC has rescinded their offer. And I gotta kind of think they would, because before the hot run last season, James Franklin's name was on the stock had went down, and now all of a sudden he does a few good things, and people's like, oh yeah, James Franklin. And the second thing I tweeted was, this is the most embarrassing day in Penn State history. Can't think of one other day that could have possibly been worse than that last weekend, losing to Illinois. But they seem to do this, and seems to be the big problem with James Franklin is he'll do what he's supposed to do. Now and then he'll do better, but a lot of times he'll do worse than he's even supposed to do. Yeah. And I just never seen a guy that can't seem to, he has all the tools at his disposal and can't get out of his own way.
Yeah, you know what? James Franklin is an interesting case study because he should have lost, or he should have been fired back in, I think it was what year did they beat us? 2013. They beat us at Penn State, and no, it must 2016. They beat us at Penn State and saved his job. And that was people were done with him, right? They were fed up. He was doing this every year, losing to an Illinois here or there, losing to somebody, and just couldn't beat Ohio State, couldn't win the big game, and then also would lose to somebody kind of that was second tier beneath Penn State, right? It's just what he's known for. And I honestly, I swear to you, I believe this team was a facade from the beginning. Sean Clifford is awful. I mean, I think my preview stuff for the season, I said he is a very average quarterback. That was being kind. I mean, very kind. He's awful. And they don't have skill in the perimeter outside of Jahan Dotson to help him. They have no run game to help him. And the defense is pretty good. Now, the run defense was pathetic. Bert Bielema had a nice plan to kind of just run the ball down their throat 67 times. And I think he had 9 linemen in one play. It was ridiculous. But moral story is that's kind of his MO. I mean, it's just like in recruiting. You go to a recruiting visit to Ohio State. It is a meaningful visit. I mean, it's serious. You have some fun, but you're having a branding meeting where where you meet with the creative department and they talk about your personal brand and how they're going to build your brand, for life, right? And then you have a meeting about Real Life Wednesdays, how they're going to develop you off the field to build kind of your repertoire of connections. Like, it's very serious. You go to Penn State, man, it's cornhole and hot dogs, man. It's cookouts and blow up what are those called? Bounce houses.
Yeah.
Christ. But that's what it is. It's like, and the only recruits that I ever had a problem recruiting against James Franklin with were the ones that kind of were soft. And they were like, I don't know, man, Penn State's really cool. It's really fun. And it's like, that's what you want? Cool and fun? This is next level here. That is like a fun guy to go to the bar with. It's bizarre.
Yeah, they every now and then they pull a Micah Parsons, a Brandon Smith, a Saquon Barkley, Jahan Dot. I think I even heard on your show today Dotson wasn't what he is now when he was being recruited.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like the kids they've gotten. I mean, they've been developmental, kind of diamond in the rough guys. Saquon Barkley wasn't the number one running back in the country coming out, right? Jahan Dotson, we turned down at Ohio State, and I really liked him. But I didn't think he was that upper echelon of receivers in the country, right? And Micah Parsons, everyone in the world walked away, and Penn State just hung tough, right?
Right.
They took a chance because they wanted a great player, and it paid off. But I can't think of a guy they really beat everyone on.
Yeah, and the offensive line.
I take that back. Mike Gesicki was the top tight end in the country.
Yeah, the offensive line play is disappointing year in and year out.
Oh, brutal.
Saquon Barkley behind this current Ohio State offensive line would have been such a cheat code. They never do any favors on that O-line. James Franklin diagnosed it. He said, we need to spread before the season. I listened to him. We need to make the defense cover 53 and a third sideline and power run the ball. And we look, and I'm like, okay, yes, you're right. But how they can't run the ball is beyond me. You should have decent O-lines at Penn State. You don't have to be Ohio State. You should have decent O-lines. And then even more so, Zach, before I turn this, at the risk of turning this into a Bash James Franklin show, but I guess it's fun. Did you see what he said today? So two things. I guess we need to clarify about our tailgate in the location. It's in Columbus. Your tailgate is in Columbus.
It's not in Michigan.
It is, yeah, right. So the four best teams in the Big Ten East are squaring off this week, and two of them are meeting in Columbus, Ohio. The other two are in East Lansing, Michigan. James Franklin is going to be in Ann Arbor, and I don't know why, but that's what's
you know
going
why,
on
Johnny.
there.
Let me tell you why. Because he can't lose a game if he goes to Ann Arbor, Michigan.
That's true.
There's no one to play. They will not
James
lose
Franklin,
on Saturday if they go to Michigan.
Two things. He's solely focused on Illinois, and he's ready to go to the big house. I guess they're doing like a neutral site thing with a conference opponent. So James Franklin, for those of you who didn't see, said exactly that they were focused on Illinois and only Illinois. I guess he's still real. I talk about rent-free. That is the definition of rent-free. When you're about to play Ohio State and you're in front of the mic and like, I'm just focused on what Illinois did to me. I mean, and then you say you're going to the big house, not the stadium.
It's not funny, but it's like war flashbacks almost. Like
it is.
He's sitting there like, Illinois. Oh God. Like, whoa, relax, man.
Yeah.
You know what I think really is contributing to it is I think he's legitimately trying to get this USC job. And I don't know if you want to talk about that, but you don't fire your agent, Trace Armstrong, to hire the other big time agent in the market, Jimmy Sexton, unless Jimmy Sexton is plugged into a certain job that you want mid-season, right? You fire your agent. Why? That agent already worked your contract. You already have your job. Like, why are you firing your agent? What did he do? Like, text you that you're a jerk?
And when did this firing happen?
I don't know the exact dates, but I know it just happened recently.
Wasn't after the loss?
I don't know. I mean, it just came to light right now, but it could have been any time in the last week or two. But he switched agents, and why would you do that mid-season if you're at a place you're staying at? That's the question.
Yeah, for real. The only other thing I could think is the agent and his agent came to him after Saturday and said, "Hey, man, you know that raise we were going to talk about? I am not representing you. You just made me look like a fool." No, but that is a good topic to think about. I can't see how, with USC's bad record of just this a lazy Susan of coaches going by that they've tried and tried and tried. why you would take a flyer on the guy who can't get Penn State up to Penn State standard. Penn State is a B+ program that can't reach B+ standard.
Yeah.
And you want to bring him to an A program to play at an A standard when he can't do it there. I get it. His rah-rah, that kind of fits the USC. I'm sure he would love Beverly Hills. That'd be a silly hire, in my opinion. Zach, I do want to ask you this, since Penn State ruins everything. I'm going to go. I don't know if we can say this. I was really hoping Josh Pate would be in Columbus. Penn State likely ruined that.
They definitely did. I talked to him. He told me they did.
And I love listening. I was going to go up and try to get him. Like I texted you. I said, see if Josh will come by the tailgate. I was going to get some of those Academy Sports gift cards he says he gives out to the listeners. I was going to try for that. But now Ohio State is a heavy favorite, Zach. From a coach's standpoint, how do heavy favorites keep their focus? Because if you're a coach in that room, the team knows they're playing really good. They know Penn State is not. They know it's a big game. So how do you get them to keep them from like feeling themselves a little too much?
Yeah, this team's going to lose two more games if they are feeling themselves right now, because they already walked into that stadium, their own stadium, and took an L right on the chin. So if they can't keep their head straight and understand that Penn State is capable of winning, they're going to lose two more minimally. So it's a moot point, right? This team right now is still hungry, and they still feel disrespected. I mean, from little things, right? Like, why is Alabama ahead of us now? Right? They lost to a ranked team, a highly ranked team, as did we. Right. And we're just killing people right now. And they're playing Tennessee close, which if you watch the game, they did play Tennessee.
That was close for all of 3 quarters.
Yeah. 3.5 quarters. I mean, there's 12 minutes left and it's a 7-point game. But so I think there's plenty of reason for them to stay focused. And I think it's a lot like when we played Wisconsin in 2014, where it's like, all right, we need to leave no doubt. I mean, we have a loss. They can leave us out. And the greatest example is the 2015 team. It's the best team I think I've been a part of. And we got left out because of one loss. And you sit there and you say, hey, listen, look at this roster. Ezekiel Elliott, Joey Bosa, Michael Thomas, all these great players. They got left out because they lost one game. Because in the other games, they left a sliver of doubt a couple times.
They didn't peak. Yep.
Ohio State has to leave no doubt. And they have to win this game by 21 plus points. And I think they will. I think this is going to be an absolute blowout.
So comment below, guys. Do you think it will be a bloodbath? As Zach's a big Anchorman fan, will it be tonight the streets run red with James Franklin's blood? Okay, not that. But it is a scarlet out at the shoe. So will this be a bloodbath, guys? Do you think Ohio State will just absolutely pour this on like they're maybe poised to do? This could get out of now. I'm hoping for a good game that Penn State comes and shows up and says, this is to save our season, right? We just tanked our season last week. Can we salvage something here and save our season? But schematically, as Penn State's run defense drops, they only have their back 7 to bank on now. That's a really good defense, but it looks like the back 7's carrying the weight now because the pass defense. They can't run the ball at all. Sean Clifford's not good enough to, I guess, continue to expose the seam weaknesses in this defense over and over and over, especially if he's this sore. Something's got to break, a fumble, weird turnover, something. It's hard to imagine a scenario where Penn State can play it close, but you would like to think the athletes at least represent themselves well. And Zach, I'll tell you, I don't think they can play Ohio State close if the defense comes to play. If the defense shores up those little holes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their strength is that would even keep them in the game. I really don't. I mean, they can't run the ball. Sean Clifford against Illinois was 36% over 10 yards. I mean, honestly, that is one of the worst games by a ranked quarterback that I've seen in a while. And he's getting no favors from his run game. I mean, 2 yards per carry against Illinois is, just you should fire your run game coordinator and your O-line coach, or if they're the same person, fire him twice and don't pay his salary, don't pay his contract out. How do they even stay close? Jahan Dotson is the only player, and I like their tight end too, but Jahan Dotson's their only player that you would say could play at Ohio State on a regular year, right? Maybe not this year because they're so loaded at receiver, but So he's the one guy. So what do you got to do? Just stop him?
Yeah,
It's so easy.
I would think a close game looks like a DB falls down and Jahan Dotson breaks loose, and then maybe a few repeated attacks in the seam targeting some linebackers in coverage. And you just and then Ohio State kind of does something silly, uncharacteristic to let them back in the game.
Yeah, but
it's hard to.
Here's the problem. The problem is that this defense is a decent defense, probably the best defense Ohio State's faced.
Yep.
In totality. But if they think that the run game that Illinois poised was, I mean, Ohio State's not going to run it 67 times. This is the best offensive line in college football, and it's not close. It is not even remotely close. And a Heisman level back. That kid will win a Heisman at Ohio State one day. TreVeyon Henderson will. So if Illinois runs for 357 yards, what is Ohio State going to run for? And that's if their back seven that has faced nothing like this skill set that Ohio State's bringing into the stadium. That's if they can kind of limit them, or let's say they win that battle. They're not going to stop that run game. No chance.
No.
Ohio State will march down the field at will on this defense. And I think Penn State's going to have a trouble moving the ball an inch, bar outside of what you just said. A guy falls down, a trick play, like, CJ Stroud, slips and throws a pick six, something like that could make it interesting for a moment, but it's not going to be a good game 4 quarters long.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine them moving the ball, consistently, and Ohio State not. The rain, maybe, if there is rain, elements can even up and call. That's what you'd have to have, some weirdness to this game, and it is a night game, and anything can happen. The one thing I did want to touch on real quick, just like when you said when Alabama went down, and every Menace to Sports listener in the country was like, I knew this team wasn't dominant because I think. So you had been saying on your show for a long time, look, Cody Simon's a good player. He's fast. He's athletic. He's doing well in run fits, but in coverage, he is something like 8 for 10 before this Indiana game when he got targeted, right?
Yeah,
I think Tulsa was 4 for 4. They were targeting him in coverage and just completing over and over. That one lone touchdown that Indiana got, just ran a guy right behind him. He just did not get depth, and it was an easy touchdown. And I was sitting here going, I knew
he's lost. He was lost again.
I knew there was a problem because I listened to Menace to Sports.
Right, he's lost again. And listen, I don't like talking negatively about a kid, but I'm going to give honest evaluation. And I think the kid has a chance to be a really good player because he shows a lot of skill. He's just not ready yet. He's so confused and conflicted when it comes to run versus pass that he just lets guys free sometimes. And it's like you got to get him out.
He refuses to kind of get that depth that he needs to, and really okay, the quarterback's rolling out with his hands on the laces and looking down the field. It's a pass.
Right. It's what I tell my 6th grade football team, right? If he's like this, it's a pass. If he's like this, it's a run.
Right. And he's got the physical skill sets that will get there. And the other thing that's difficult now, Zach, in today's game, it's really hard to label something a pass down or a run down unless it's second or third and long. Plenty of first down passes. So that's what's hard to put him in. So, I'll put him in on a rundown. Well, what's a rundown nowadays? It's hard to do that.
To be honest with you, that's when he's screwed the most, right? Because if there's a conflict of is it run or pass, that's when most of the time he loses his cookies, right? Okay. So if you put him in on 3rd and 16, he'll probably be okay. Like, they're throwing the ball. And if it's a draw or something, he can rally up and make the play for a gain of 10, right? Yeah. It's those, I don't know when you play him until he's ready to read keys, identify run pass, and get his eyes where they belong. The biggest thing on defense is where are your eyes. Greg Schiano used to say it all the time. Your eyes take you to your responsibility, right? His eyes are rarely on his responsibility. His eyes, he'll play man coverage and he's looking at the quarterback and you're like, bro, no one covers him in man. Right. We actually don't have to play him in man.
Right. Yeah. So then in the second series of the Indiana game and moving forward, Steel Chambers comes in the game and the defense looks great because you have a linebacker with the speed to do everything and enough size that he's not a liability in the run game.
Right.
And Zach, so if you're back in the even though you were on the offensive side of the ball and you're back in the Woody, you're a coach again, all the assistants are friends with, or maybe not friends, but acquaintances, and they work together. And now Washington comes to you and he says, Zach, I'm trying really hard for some reason not to start Steele. Should I just go ahead and start him? What do you tell him?
Well, I would tell you, I don't know. I would laugh and be like, yeah, I love him. He definitely should be starting. But I will tell you this. This is what Urban Meyer told me about Devin Smith when he was young and didn't really know the offense yet. He's like, he looked at me and was like, so what do you want to do? You want to play a kid that's not even close to as good as him? And I was like, why? And you kind of stutter. You're like, well, I don't want to say yes to that. Right. And so he looked at me, he was like, what do I pay your salary for? So if I was the head coach, if I was Ryan Day, I'd look at Al Washington.
Urban always sugarcoated things, didn't he?
Always. If I was Ryan Day, I'd look at Al and be like, why am I paying you? Like, this kid is better. Everyone sees that. Fans see it. I'm getting asked by Uncle Joe on the radio show, why isn't Steel Chambers playing more? What are we paying Al Washington for? If he can't get him ready and get him to learn the playbook and teach him and develop him to get him so we have our best linebacker on the field, what is he getting paid for? That's his job. And I like Al. He's a friend of mine, but still, do your job.
Right. I like when someone can take a complex issue and boil it down to a simple statement. What do you think the answer would be? Play the guy that's not nearly as good? Well, no, when you put it that way, right. It sounds pretty simple, doesn't it?
I feel like an idiot for even being in this conversation.
Right. And we are, on behalf of Buckeye Nation, we are very grateful you played Devin Smith. It worked out really good for us.
It did. And I'll tell you this, it was not because of Urban's recommendation to buy him Egg McMuffins and bring him in at 7 a.m. The kid hated the morning and didn't like Egg McMuffins. So just so you know.
So you had to buy him Big Macs and wait till after
Skittles,
afternoon.
Man.
Right?
Hey, Devin Smith's a Skittles guy.
Okay. However, you got the calories on him, right?
Either way.
Yeah. All right, Zach. Well, appreciate you stopping by again. Come see us Saturday at Tailgate, guys. It's really good to have you, Zach, and we'll do it again.
Sounds good, man. Thanks.